people are talking about NATO now. Let's talk about Ukraine-NATO relations. And by the way, somebody, I don't know who it was in the chat, said that U.S. and NATO have no intention of letting Ukraine become a NATO country. You're absolutely right about that. They're just doing this to be a thorn to Russia. There's no fucking way Ukraine becomes a NATO country, especially not now. They would have to win. They would have to fight a military war against Russia and win their own independence, and they would have to take over Crimea as well and do the same for us to allow them into NATO. Because otherwise, why would you accept a country into your fucking defense organization that can't defend themselves? That doesn't make any sense, dude.
None.
That's like having Russell Westbrook join the Lakers. That was a mistake, by the way. Cut him. Cut him and eat the cap space. Just cut him. Anyways, so Ukraine-NATO relations. Ukraine is not currently a member of NATO, obviously, but is considered a, quote, partner of the alliance, which is fucking nonsense. That doesn't mean anything. While they appear to be seeking membership, and we're back in 2006, I think, or 2008, we're guaranteed. NATO told Ukraine, like, one day you're going to be a member. Like, they literally said that. Literally, one day you're going to be a member. We'll get there. Hell yeah, man. And Ukraine's like, hey, what's up, bro?
Yeah.
It's like,
please.
It's like NATO owes Ukraine fucking $500. And they keep calling, like, hey, you got that money? Like, yeah, we're going to get it, man. Big time.
One day.
Yeah.
One day you're going to get it.
While they appear to be seeking membership, NATO has stated that Kiev needs to root out corruption among their officials. Also true, Ukraine is one of the most corrupt countries on earth. NATO Secretary General Stoltenberg, who we mentioned before, has maintained that when the time comes to consider membership, Russia will not be able to veto Ukraine's accession. I don't know what he means by that. Hopefully what he means is that Russia won't be in a position to do that, not that they won't have the right to, because one of those implies that Ukraine's taking care of itself, and the other one implies that we're just going to fucking tell Russia to go fuck itself and start a war. Dialogue between Ukraine and NATO officially began in 1991 after the wall fell. It has since joined the North Atlantic Cooperation Council and the Partnership for Peace program, two things no one's ever fucking heard of. In 1997, relations were strengthened further with the signing of the Charter on a Distinctive Partnership, which establishes the NATO-Ukraine Commission. The 2009 declaration to complement the NATO-Ukraine Charter mandated the NUC to underpin Ukraine's efforts to move forward with reforms aimed at implementing Ukraine's Euro-Atlantic aspirations. In response to the Russian-Ukraine conflict, NATO has reinforced its support for the capability development and capacity building in Ukraine. NATO has promised not to recognize Russia's illegal annexation of Crimea and its destabilizing efforts in eastern Ukraine and the Black Sea region.
So again, I still, like, even after all this, I don't see what is, for America, what is the upside to us keeping, like, to helping Ukraine? Like, what is the upside?
The upside, I mean,
like, what is the strategic aspect of that?
Well, we'll talk about why the real estate itself is strategic, but you can see from these statements that NATO is saying, yeah, you can join the club when you get your fucking shit together.
So even NATO's,
but that is a goal that is clearly out of the reach of Ukraine, right? Because of Russian interference, they will never be not corrupt ever, yeah. And it's not just because of the Russian government interference; it's because of the turns the Russian economy took after the Cold War ended. There was no, like, all the military commanders basically became a fucking black market for guns, drugs, prostitution, all sorts of stuff, right? It became a mob, right? So, and they all report to the fucking oligarchs over there. So the mob just pushed into Ukraine at the earliest possible convenience and started mobbing it up too. And now most of the leaders over there are, if not loyal to fucking Russia, are compromised by them, right? It's just that NATO set a goal they know the Ukraine can't meet, just so they can keep them dangling out there. You know what I mean? It's in 2020, Ukrainian President Volodymyr, which I don't think you're supposed to say that name.
Why?
Voldemort. Oh, God. Man,
Read a book. God damn.
You're a fucking loser. Volodymyr Zelensky approved a new nation security strategy, which helps provide, which helps develop a partnership and eventual membership in NATO. So it's like a Gantt chart, I guess, where if you meet these 7 criteria and you're the primary and you're the secondary, it's all nonsense. It's never going to happen. We're just going to keep them hanging, right? Boy. But this is kind of, I mean, it reminds me of the way that the Democratic Party has used the black community in America. You know what I mean? Like, you keep giving people handouts, but never allow them to get too good. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't help them start businesses or get educated or anything. You just give them enough to just eke by. That way they'll stay loyal to you. And that's what America and NATO are trying to do to Ukraine.
Yeah. Just so, yeah. I mean,
it's very unethical. Like, it's not just about America shouldn't go into Ukraine and get involved in this shit. It is that the level of involvement that NATO and America have had so far has been completely unethical, the way we've treated this situation. It's absolute nonsense. All right, now let's talk about, and again, this will close out the show, and this has all been background for what we're going to talk about on Friday. By taking Ukraine, Russia would gain easy access to the Black Sea, which plays an integral part in the connection between Asia and Europe. According to NATO, the Black Sea is a strategic corridor that provides smuggling channels for moving legal and illegal goods, including drugs, radioactive materials, and counterfeit goods. You see how they try to throw in nuclear, bio stuff? Mm-hmm. Doesn't that sound really familiar?
Yeah.
Does it remind you of Colin Powell in front of the UN with a little vial of fake anthrax? There's a little bit. It'll get you, man. Yellow cake. Hell yeah. Doesn't it sound exactly the same? Jesus fucking, we just did this shit. Yeah. God damn it, man. The Black Sea also holds massive reserves of petroleum in the sea's western portion along the Ukrainian coast, which they would obviously seek to drill for. Russia also seeks to project power and influence in the Mediterranean, protect its economic and trade links with European markets, and make southern Europe more dependent on Russian oil and gas, which is not a dumb strategy, by the way.
No.
The Black Sea is the only means for Russians to access the Mediterranean and beyond, both for military operations and exporting hydrocarbons. Due to the combination of geography and politics, Russia's access to the wider Mediterranean region is limited. Excuse me. The Mediterranean is currently dominated by NATO, but Russia hopes to gain more political influence, economic influence, and military influence through the natural resources they have, and they could also take there. And strategic importance of the Black Sea, although Crimea and the southern Russian port city, oh, man, I can't say
it, Dan. Say it.
Novorossiysk, snake.
I think you get it. Yeah.
Provide the Russian Navy and tankers with access to warm water ports. All ships entering and leaving the Black Sea must pass through Turkish-controlled straits at this time. Under the 1936 Montreux Convention, Turkey allows civilian ships to pass through the straits in peacetime and places some restrictions on military vessels not belonging to Black Sea littoral states, which Russia is not. Russia has long been concerned about Turkey's ability to use the straits as a chokehold during conflict. Moscow has attempted to strengthen diplomatic relations with Turkey through weapons sales and the construction of a power plant and diplomatic support through the 2016 coup against Turkish President Recep, I don't know how you say his first name, but Erdogan. Annexing Ukraine would help Russia gain increased diplomatic and economic leverage over Turkey, as Russia would be less dependent on Turkish trade routes. Having control of Ukraine would also give Russia increased protection from NATO incursion into the Russian heartland or Crimea, and the Black Sea's proximity to Russia makes it an ideal area for NATO and U.S. forces to deploy both sea and land-based weapons platforms.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, which I know you will. It sounds like to me that Turkey, Europe, they got a lot more interest in not letting this happen than we fucking do.
I mean, yeah, this is control of Ukraine would give Russia a strategic point from which to launch attacks against NATO or U.S. forces, attempting to stage troops and equipment in the Black Sea. Theoretically.
Yeah, theoretically.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But that's like saying the United States putting a military base in Mexico would help us stop incursions from Guatemala. Like, yeah, technically. But is that necessary? And is
that's
it
like saying putting troops on the border will stop people from coming over.
Well, that would actually work.
Technically, but they're down there and we're not using it. It's like, it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. Like, why, again, like, if we send people over there, it's insane. This has nothing to do with us.
No. I mean, it's
nothing to do with us.
People still have this Cold War ideology. And it's funny because when Mitt Romney said in the 2012 presidential election that he thought Russia was our number one foreign adversary, the left lit his ass up and said, "What do you think? It's 1990? Get out of here."
Yeah.
Like what you're saying is crazy. You're still stuck in the Cold War.